I disagree. Welcome everyone to the Wrestler Review. Dylan just told me to stay on topic the whole time. Let me
Yeah,
tell you
fucking
what
right.
people. Let me tell you what people tune in for. Not that. Except
First
for
of all, they
today,
don't tune in because it's
they
not on
tune
the
in.
radio.
Wait a minute. What do you mean we're not on the
Imagine
radio?
if we were on the radio. Hey, everyone has to watch their stuff except for this place. This thing gets no ads, and most of them they talk about spraying sauce, and I don't
Yeah,
mean barbecue.
you
I'm
mean.
talking a white cum.
Whoa, is there different colors of cum out there now?
I assume if you eat poorly, there's probably like a phlegmy cum. Sorry, I have a
I re-
cold. There's a bunch
there
of
was
chunks in it.
a comedian in the city of Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, who said the following thing to me as I was about to walk on stage. I smoked so much weed in my life, my cum is gray now. If a doctor had told
That's
me
good.
that, I wouldn't have smoked any weed. And I was like, holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That guy's real good, by the way. I haven't seen him do comedy in about 7 years, but sometimes he just shows up at the club and talks to me about how he's no longer with his wife.
I think we're
It's
having
pretty sweet.
Wi-Fi problems, Wi-Fi problems.
I don't think we are. Can you hear me or see me?
Yes, I'm tethering my shit right now. Well, did it say I was the problem or you?
I didn't see anything. It maintained beautiful connection the whole time, meaning it's you.
Good.
But you know who
Good.
else is to blame at this? That's right, guys. It's Ryback. We're talking about Ryback this weekend. Before we get into the career of this angry man, this fist if he was a person, a tumor if it had a soul, I want to talk about our researcher, Christopher Hobson. He made Ryback seem like a reasonable, nice man who just wanted to get into wrestling. Not a guy who started an energy drink whose commercial is he spears a fat lady into a pool of ostensibly the energy drink and she comes out a hot babe. Ladies and gentlemen,
Also, I would say that she
Ryback.
basically comes out. Anyway, yes, he does. He spears a woman into a pool, and she comes out thinner. And you know what I like about Ryback is that Ryback almost to me was like impenetrable that this guy would be successful because I'm like, oh, it's a jacked, roided up, crazy guy. This guy, 100% will be successful. Absolutely not. New WWE. I don't know what makes you successful anymore at all.
Here's what it is.
Uh-huh.
He's Goldberg if Goldberg was into wrestling. That kind of guy who's like that big.
He wants it too much.
Exactly. He can't know about how wrestling works because he's coming in. I bet you in the back of his head, he's like, I'm going to be the fucking world heavyweight champion. And he's getting indications because of like immediately in training, he's doing promos for The Undertaker. He's being around the other guys being used as Undertaker opponents. It's very clear that they're like, this guy will be the next guy to lose at WrestleMania to The Undertaker.
Except for the fact that he has that thing with The Undertaker.
But this is all beforehand.
Is this thing really happening?
You know what I'm talking about?
Is this really happening?
It's one of those things where, so basically, let's talk about it. Ryback was born in Las Vegas, Nevada. Of course he was. In 1981. It is insane that I'm only 4 years younger than Ryback. Like when I was like, what? One of us is aging very well, and somehow it's me.
Well, that's because you don't do rickety roids, buddy. We'd both be full bald.
Did I not tell you?
With
I've been doing
YOLO
steroids
jugs
since I got my accident. They were like, "You're gonna need to do a lot of physio to heal your broken shoulder." And I was like, "What if I just take roids 3 times a day? Will that heal it?" And they were like, "Absolutely not." And I was like, "This you doctors know what you are? You're fake news. I'm bringing fake news back. It's been too long that people haven't been screaming fake news at each other for almost 2 years. We're bringing it back, Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on roids since January of 2021. Let me tell you, I feel great.
Fuck, goddamn fucking Wi-Fi.
And what's even better
Wi-Fi.
is my Wi-Fi is working completely. So what I just watch is Dylan slowly get confused that he's missing my joke. While Dylan fixes his Wi-Fi, I'm going to tell you more about Ryback. Ryback was born, by the way, he's of course changed his name now to Ryback Allen Reeves, which is so good.
I would like to say this. I cannot fix my Wi-Fi because literally I have tethered it to my phone and my Wi-Fi already wasn't working well. So we're flying low, buddy. We're flying low.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
Hopefully they don't hit the kids.
Dylan just said something about flying low and then hitting the kids. And then for those of you who have Patreon and get the video, he looked very confusedly at the screen and then down. Let's talk more about Ryan Allen Reeves. He's born in Las Vegas, Nevada. No word which casino. You'd think Bellagio, but I'm guessing a Caesars boy. He started watching wrestling at 5 years old. He loved Razor Ramon. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a real sign that you are a rascal. That you like, which one of these cool athletes do I like? I like the guy who's covered in grease, who's got a toothpick in his mouth while he's wrestling, and also has one of the weakest looking finishers that no one kicks out of.
You think that was a weakest? I think that was a really cool finisher. I think that was also a very cool wrestling finisher.
Hang on.
It's not a world champion finisher because it takes too slow. Go for it.
It's also how it's presented. It was because he did it really slowly. Like he did it in so many different stages.
Because he was cool.
Yeah, but it sucked. Like I never was.
It's like the jackknife powerbomb where he'd always be like, "I'm smoking weed. I put it out on his fucking back. Now I've slowly rest." Because like Sid would kill people with his powerbomb.
Exactly, that's what I'm looking for. I came in my favorite time in wrestling.
Sid would fuck up a powerbomb so badly. Like I remember.
Sorry,
go for it.
No,
Sid fucked up a powerbomb so badly when he turned on Shawn Michaels as his bodyguard. I went to school the next day thinking that Psycho Sid's had a new finishing move he had unveiled because he just like picked him up too fast and then just kind of like let him go. And I was like, maybe that's his new move.
What I also enjoy, I know exactly the moment you're talking about, is that people talk about like, oh, wrestling used to seem more real, and what they mean is, I miss the days when wrestlers, yeah, exactly, like it's like, oh, Ryback works a bit stiff. No, you don't understand. Ryback's old school. What's that mean? It means one of the people you're in the ring with is just trying to actually hurt you. Why are we doing this? It's like, it looks really good, guys. Like
Ryback's old school in that he is obviously 100% aware this is staged, but in his mind he does think how that's a fight between these two people would work out. He's like, yeah, and then I'd fucking clothesline him, and then I'd stomp around and I'd do my slam.
How many fucking kettlebell workouts has he done today? I've done 2, and I listened to 2 Rogan podcasts.
I guarantee
and I had 2 fucking,
Ryback has never touched anything that's even close to CrossFit.
I disagree with you entirely.
He fucking hates CrossFit. That guy fucking hates CrossFit.
Not CrossFit.
He likes bench, he likes press, and he likes...
I guarantee he's into a lot of like clean liver, not using steroids YouTube accounts. Like what's the term?
The Liver King.
The Liver King. He really thinks that he's naughty.
The Liver King's my favorite dude.
Liver King. I only found out about this guy yesterday. He
clearly is some rich dude's son who is just juiced to his fucking mind because his social media account. If anyone's here. Go to Liver. I think it's at Liver King. This guy's whole thing is, I just eat liver a bunch and I eat organs, and that's why I'm so jacked.
Well, no, but what's very
funny is if that stands to reason, then my stepdad is the most jacked man in the world because he eats fucking skull. Like he eats skulls of animals because he believes you should eat every single part of the animal, and they'll throw organs away, so they're super cheap. So all the time when I was a kid, I'm not jacked. I ate liver a fuckload.
And let me say this though, is also he says like all you have to do is eat liver, and then he'll be doing that like all you gotta do is eat liver. Now I'm gonna walk up this sheer hill with 800 pounds in my back.
Well, also it's like all you have to do is eat liver. Also, I have this expansive property that's the size of a small fucking town. Like I know this dude was rich from something else because it's one of the. So there's a thing you can do on social media now that you can bully the pot. Like you didn't used to be able to, but now like you said on our chat episode, everything's working towards a subscriber base. Yeah. But now you can bully the pot by like when we started, we did this. We thought we should get a good Facebook page, so we just like sponsored a bunch of posts that were like it was just like a picture of the Ultimate Warrior, and then people would follow us because it was like I don't know why they were like, oh yeah.
I mean, by the way, we're still doing it on TikTok and Instagram by being like, remember when Cactus Jack debuted, and then 1,100 people are like, yeah, man, this is fucking awesome, bro.
And then they argue in the comments like, I think he's gay. I'm like, I hung out with him once. He didn't suck me off, but I'm pretty hot, so he's not gay.
Yeah, yeah. Let me tell you this about. Yeah, those were all Dylan. That was Dylan arguing with himself. I think
that's what I any female comedian I just comment on their things constantly. I think she's gay because she fucking didn't fuck me. That's every single one, even the ones I'm close personal friends with. They're like, this has one comment. You're acting like I'm not reading
my face. I want you to look at me in my face. I want you to guess what year it was where I heard a man say that seriously to me. And the girl he was talking about immediately walked over and then started making out with another comedian. What year was it?
2001.
It was 2022. It happened in January in Florida, ladies and gentlemen.
6th?
Yeah, it was January 6th. It was at a January 6th
That was
anniversary
my
party.
January 6th.
Yeah, me too. I just started yelling, headliner, pointing at myself.
Headliner. Comedians.
Another thing I have seen,
the greatest
by the way.
people in the world.
Thing I have seen.
Boobs?
No, haven't seen those yet. I do not want. I'm saving.
Keep your shirt on.
Yeah.
Like some mystery.
I'm saving seeing tits for my second marriage. You lose your virginity first marriage. You see breast second marriage.
Second marriage is the tits marriage. That's what
That's
Stephen
it.
Hastings taught me.
That, not just Stephen Hastings. Also my grandfather, Dick Hastings. I
Dick?
don't think.
Steve, Dick, John. You got to name a kid Bob.
I'm thinking no, that's not that. Somehow that seems almost too ethnic for how white my family has gotten with the name.
Here's my favorite thing about John is John. Usually you take a risk with the middle name. John's middle name is like finances.
my middle name is Invest in Property. They're not making any more of it.
Oh yeah, buddy.
Yeah,
that's why I'm saying they don't have ads for that. We're doing. Oh, by the way, we finally decided the Wrestler Review is launching our first NFT.
Oh yeah.
We're launching. What else could we launch?
Can we please?
We got
launch
Wrestler Review Pogs.
Look at me right. Look at me right now.
Bones.
Do you know who would launch an NFT right now? The Wrestler Review, ladies and gentlemen. Can we launch an NFT now? And here's the thing.
Suck Your Narrative NFT. So we're just gonna put a JPEG that says "Suck Your Narrative" and then that's the NFT. So if anyone wants it,
NFT we're selling is please email us just a photo of your cup that says "This is jizz," and then those are our NFTs.
Here's a palate cleanse. Look at this mug my wife got me. It's a basketball. The basketball juts out.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
It's a really nice mug. It's $1. Anyway.
My
And it's just of basketball. It's just like, hey, look, I like the sport. No team. I work hard so my cat can live a better life. That's what. That'd be good if you just take out the cat, because then it could mean pussy.
That's what I bring this around with me. Like I always have this mug with me, and so like when people are talking, I'm just like,
This is why I'm asking for extra money.
This means pussy.
I like basketball.
Yeah.
This means pussy. This means I fuck pussy.
Yeah, this means
I'm fucking straight as fuck.
I'm here.
They
to
put me
fuck
on a
pussy.
show. They're like another straight white male. Hey, I'm a straight male. I don't even count the white. I'm so straight.
Yeah, exactly. I'm. Oh, you have white privilege? I actually have straight white privilege. And like what? You're like, yeah, it's pretty great. Let me tell you who doesn't believe in privilege. I assume, and that is
a good shout. He for sure does not believe that. He believes that he got a raw deal by being 6'3".
I, by the way, agree with him. Like CM Punk, I guarantee has an amazing regime. Ryback has pointed out in a bunch of his weird podcasts. By the way, why aren't we listening to Ryback's podcast?
That's what I like about Ryback is that he tried to be Mr. Hot Take podcast guy, and everyone's like, nah.
Yeah, we're all right.
Ryback needs to be in control of your fucking narrative. What the fuck?
Wait a minute. Hang the fuck on. Hang the fuck on.
So
He's
bad.
not in control of your narrative?
No, his narrative's all over the place.
You're telling me his narrative has no control whatsoever?
Ryback may have accidentally said some woke things, though.
I mean, but here's the thing that I've learned about Ryback from reading this research is I actually do genuinely think Ryback got fucked. Because here's the thing I didn't know. I
think he had no friends.
This is the thing. Ryback had no friends, and also Ryback was basically, if Ryback had showed up in like the steroid era, he would have been the world champion. If he had showed up in the Attitude Era, no, I disagree.
He would have been in a tag team.
Because here's the thing is, as much as everyone says Ryback's on steroids, I think that he's very good at not getting caught for being on steroids. The only time he ever...
And they probably warn you. It's the company testing him. It's not like a fucking government.
I'm aware of this. It's also the fact that he got caught once and it was for over-the-counter stuff. So what I think he's one of those guys that just has figured out the science of what his body needs from stuff that isn't technically steroids, and he just does that.
He's been working out since he was 12. Like,
yeah.
My mom was like, you can start working out now when I was 12 because it was like some like thing like your doctors tell you. So it's like as soon as the club opened, he was in there. Like this guy showed up to the club at 6 p.m. You know what I mean? Like he did not wait at all. This guy wanted to be swole. He is swole. I, for one, am a big Ryback fan. Honestly, reading this research made me think I'm just going to go get WWE 2K like 11 and beat CM Punk with Ryback. all night.
It's very funny that I wanted to talk about that is that like so Ryback's career is very much of a time in that it's basically all developmental. They find him and
It's
he's
crazy. He's on Tough Enough in 2000.
yeah.
Then he's not on. Then he instead of like basically doing indies, his career he said is saved by Luke Gallows, who comes into the place. He was a waiter at the time. Which, by the way, I had a waiter who was this jacked at a chain restaurant, like a Kelsey's, I think, and me and my brother-in-law were there, and basically we're like, you are fucking cool to this guy, and he was just like clearly like, I wish anyone but guys who look like you would constantly comment me, but I'll take what I can get.
I'll tell you this is
it is ludicrous. Like these
the
guys
first
are,
time I ever signed up to a gym, there was a super jack guy who was giving me the tour, and he was a PT, and he had a super long ponytail, and he was wearing
personal trainer.
That's right. It was 2009, so people didn't dress as garishly, and he had very like ridiculous shorts, and I was like, "Hey man, you look like a pro wrestler." And then he turned to me and said, "I am a pro wrestler." And then we talked about pro wrestling, and he thought he had sold himself a personal training client. At the end of it, I went, "No, that's that story." That said, I do enjoy seeing swole guys in regular jobs because it's one of those things where it's like you've worked so hard to be good at something that does not help you here.
It is so crazy because guys like Ryback look fantastic, clearly with their shirt off and like in tights, but as soon as you put them in regular clothes, they look like a fucking clown.
It's also because they don't ever know how to dress properly. There's a few different people that do this. The first thing that they do is they're
in the gym so much and like basically with their shirt off so much, they're just like, what do humans use to cover their disgusting bodies that aren't?
Yeah. It's also that thing of they always go for that it's a type of fashion that I like to describe guy smoking in front of a hookah bar. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like how are your jeans that white and yet somehow blue? And why are there so many different types of jewelry on your t-shirt? Like it's just so weird. Like
I like it.
You look like you're the guy that was so clearly the traitor in an action movie. So Ryback basically is saved by Luke Gallows, who gives him a $30 tip and tells him to go read The Secret. And I don't believe any of this. I don't believe that Luke Gallows, who was Festus at the time, recognized Ryback. I don't believe any of it. I think it's just a weird story.
I don't know, yeah, because like, the thing about he was Festus at the time, he's in this program with The Undertaker, of course, Luke
which
Gallows
I do not remember. I don't think that happened.
Neither do I. And the other thing is, oh no, he's not in the program with The Undertaker. Fucking CM Punk is. But then it's like the timing of that is really weird. Like 2004, he's in that. I don't know. If you want to Google that and work out the timing of like when he was Festus, because The Undertaker was always a face, clearly, and Festus was a baby face too, because the whole thing was like he's brain dead until someone rings the bell and then he goes crazy.
That's what the gimmick was. I only can remember that he had something wrong with his brain, and I was like, what? How did they make that so people didn't just burn the buildings down?
Yeah, it was confusing because it was him and Ray Gordy, and Ray Gordy's like a smaller guy, and I was always told, oh, this is like Terry Gordy's son, and I was like, oh, it must be the big guy, and then it was Ray Gordy. Anyway, but anyway, Luke Gallows comes in, saves his career. He comes into developmental, and they give him, this is the perfect summary of WWE developmental, by the way. He comes up with the name Ryback because his name's Ryan. Did you know that? And people,
it's so good. What is it mixed with, though, Dylan? What is it mixed with?
Silverback.
Fuck you, Ryan, you fucking loser.
When they call him, and this is cool, though, actually, for a time they called him the Ryback, which I think
that's what they should have done.
Way better, yeah. Because he's not a person. Like, when you look at Ryback, he's not a person. He's a fucking monster. And this is the thing about Ryback is, Ryback literally, first of all, I think Ryback is a dope name for some reason. It's just
I agree with you. But by the way,
things that works.
I don't understand why they didn't call him the Ryback, and they didn't just go, hey, this is the weirdest thing about WWE and modern wrestling in general, is that wrestling is very much a business and it's a media enterprise in which you are totally allowed to steal from other approaches as long as it's sort of 10, 15 years before. Why in the name of fuck they didn't just do how they pushed Rhino in ECW the way
That's exactly what I was saying. He
Yeah.
reminds me so much of Rhino meets the Ultimate Warrior. It's fucking crazy.
and how they didn't just go, we'll just like, because Paul Heyman's I think there when he comes in, so it's like, Paul, how
Paul
did you put
Heyman
over
manages
Lyman?
him for a minute.
Oh my God, that's right, because he portrays CM Punk. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But even when he's in OVW, he invents the Ryback character, all of that sort of stuff. And then they have him do this weird promo and rehearsal in front of The Undertaker. And then The Undertaker
seems
goes,
like such a cunt.
I fucking hate The Undertaker.
The more I learned about The Undertaker, he's such a fucking
Here's
cunt.
Here's what I was thinking about when I was reading it, is going, no wonder they were like, actually, can you just protect your gimmick? Because they didn't need him just like someone thanks their wife and he sits down at the Hall of Fame and just stares at everyone angrily. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't. He actually thinks it's his yard. That's what we're learning about The Undertaker. Is he?
The Undertaker fully believes he could win the UFC title.
Like today,
like he believes if like it was 1989, he would have been the UFC champion.
I feel like The Undertaker.
I would love to see him get knocked out by like the worst heavy. There's like a.
Can we start a GoFundMe? Can we start a GoFundMe? Which is and we will pay for it. The Undertaker, by the way, can pick his opponent. But let's raise for. I bet you we could get him to do it for $100,000.
The Undertaker, by the way, right now is probably saying that most recent elementary school shooting is a false flag. Anyway, continue.
I guarantee you, The Undertaker is even doing the thing that no one talks about, but I have heard more than once, which is wouldn't happen if I was there. Really, is that you're right, because the police would have also been called because a man dressed like a old Western Undertaker walked into a school.
There is a shooting years ago in the Eaton Center in Toronto.
Of course.
And it was very Canadian because I don't know if anyone actually passed away or just a guy shot into the air in. So anyway, crazy person had a gun, whatever. And then Toronto Batman was like, I was going in there. And I was like, you fucking loser. A man who, God bless him, does children's birthday parties and did a stand-up show dressed as Batman, and I beat him in an arm wrestle while smoking a cigarette inside, and I did not work out then.
Yes, but you are also, and I've meant
highlight of my fucking life.
You also have a strength within you that if you had more than 3 beers, you just suddenly are a dead star. It's so annoying because there was a period in time where you'd have 7 beers.
A hard dick as someone
you'd get a hard dick, and you would try and fight people.
But no one knows.
Do you remember the night when what's his face got broken up with and he had a bunch of beers in his pocket, and me and him got super drunk at the Imperial Pub? I remember I was hosting at Yuck Yucks and you were way tuned up and just decided that we were going to have a fist fight while I'm trying to host a show, to the point that you grabbed me and pinned me on the ground.
Oh yeah, well I like that. I liked it then, and I like it now. Why do you think my son fucks me up? Because I cannot resist. Like, I'm gonna fucking pout. This baby has just been awake for 8 seconds. I'm going to gorilla press slam him on the bed. He is going to go insane with laughter, and then he is going to, you better believe, throw the mandible claw on me, and I'm selling it. Yeah, and he bites my face. Do you know how stupid? Where I was like, it is fucking crazy that mankind never put together something that my son did at 15 months of age, that you can mandible claw someone and then also bite their face as a heel technique. What a fucking idiot.
Is your son the Sheik?
He is.
Oh my God.
He's learning how to fight like a fucking...
Yeah,
and then he gets a fork and he stabs...
Yeah, exactly. Dylan,
I was like, good. Alexis is like, oh no, and I'm like, no, it's good. He's
learning. He's learning.
I'm not talking about this new age fucking. This is a territory heel I'm breeding.
Exactly. Dylan's son's first words were, "If you don't give me some tit milk, I will cut you."
All right, son, you're a quarter Portuguese, and in my world, professional wrestling, that's enough to count as Arab. So we're gonna make you an Arab character.
Listen. You live in Toronto, which for some reason in wrestling is the home of the Jeet Singh dynasty.
That's true.
You will be the third.
You're going to stab Terry Funk's kid, I guess.
Yeah. You're
stabbed. That's one of the craziest things when he just fucking stabs Terry Funk.
Terry Funk's grandkids in the arm too, with a fork.
Regular kid.
Just
with a sword, with a real sword. That's a fucking DHS.
Here's the thing that's so funny.
He stabs Terry Funk with a fucking sword.
Here's the other thing with Terry Funk. So you know when Terry Funk got stabbed in the arm with a fork? Do you want to know why he did that? I read his book, and this is the best reason.
Because they thought we were hamburgers.
No, someone said that they were pretty sure Terry's jaw was softening in Japan, and he was like, "Oh, is it? Is it?" And he's just like, "You stabbed me with a fork in my arm," and then they did, and he was like, "They'll be back."
I
So
like that.
good.
So Ryan back.
So dismissive if you give him his full name, Ryan Allen Back.
Ryan back. So Ryan back becomes Skip Sheffield because he does this promo in front of the Undertaker. The Undertaker does not like it, and he becomes Skip Sheffield, who is a you better believe it, baby, dumb football player. And it's like it gets over in developmental, and I'm sure that's fine. But like, that must be so like.
It's really just. It's also the beginning of being like, I get Ryback's frustration. Like he's come in, like he's done everything.
Especially
that
the way they
told him
book
to do.
the Nexus, where it's like, okay, your character's like you're a dumb, lovable ex-football player, and then your first angle is
You're Scott
kill
Norton
John
in the
Cena.
NWO. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the Nexus is one of those things where, yeah, John Cena has since been like, I got some shit for it. And it's like, yeah, you fucked up about 7 people's careers. Somehow Heath Slater lasted the longest out of all of that, which is wild.
You know what? Actually, we were talking about how Ryback. The reason we don't understand why Ryback didn't work out, and I think I do, it's because you can't be that visibly roided up in today's post Chris Benoit. Like,
But here's
it's the
the
Benoit thing.
I agree with you, but it's also the thing of he was tested a shitload. So it's one of those things where it's like, also like, by the way, also Brock Lesnar and
Clearly
Triple H in this period. But
clearly.
hang on. I agree with you, but it's again from his perspective that's going to be so frustrating. Remember when Triple H showed up for that Royal Rumble Roman Reigns WrestleMania? I think it was WrestleMania 32, the one that they did in Dallas, and Triple H showed up looking like he'd been stung by a billion bees. Like it was the most like, and the number 30 entrant in the Royal Rumble, a superstar Billy Graham's drug sample from 1980. Like,
Yeah. It's
come on.
the whole thing of like
I get
not
your
everyone
point.
can be on steroids. Only the top guys can do steroids.
But again, Ryback was, and he is smart enough and knows wrestling enough to have the same reaction we both have, which is he's only ever going to be a top guy. So it's fine. He looks like that. And I think he just got kind of rolled in that CM Punk was in the middle of his, okay, we're jumping ahead again, but he skipped Sheffield. The Nexus happens. Do we need to go through what happens in the Nexus again? I'll bring it up with everyone. They all debut. They're versus John Cena. John Cena beats all of them, and it was great.
And then that happens. This is what happens. They do an amazing first angle where they literally no music, take down all the ropes. They like do a beatdown that basically hasn't been done that well before or since, because if you think about the NWO beatdowns, people already viewed all these people as a threat versus the Nexus was like, we are all threats. This is the first chapter of our characters. We're fucking tired. And it was a brilliant way of like,
you're 100% correct,
breaking out of those characters, because this entire thing was obviously the first version of NXT was reality shows with wrestlers basically being their mentors, and the whole idea was we're tired of being talked down to by you pieces of shit. Fuck you. We're gonna. And then they took out John Cena first thing. Wade Barrett was clearly ready for prime time. All these times where it's like, it's the whole thing of like, I'd use the example of Maven, where if you're not gonna start a guy's character, don't debut him. Like they never like wrote Spider-Man into a comic book and then were like, okay, forget about what happened in the first Spider-Man. Now there's another, you know what I mean? Like you've started a narrative now, control it.
Which is again why I'm shocked that Ryback is not going to that company, because they are offering a solve to all of his problems.
Dude, who wouldn't watch Ryback versus Braun Strowman in a control your narrative fight where the winner gets to write a book? I don't know.
Yeah, they're doing a Proud Boys on a pole match. You know what I mean?
And that's the exact tag team that they should be. Is, by the way, Ryback and Braun Strowman. That's amazing.
Oh my god,
two equally crazy people who are both fucking strong as fuck. Who got there in completely different ways.
Let me tell you what AEW should do: is put them together as a tag team, call themselves the Militia. Holy shit! and just basically
Oh,
build them versus the Young Bucks. Because here's the other thing that's weird about the Ryback. I'm only using the
No,
Ryback.
no, call him the Ryback, please.
The Ryback is not as bad of a wrestler as I remembered.
Yeah, it's just he believes he's a huge star and he could only be booked as a star. It'd be kind of like if they just didn't push Jim Hellwig.
Yeah, holy shit, that's a very good point.
You know what I mean? If he just won and lost, it'd be like this weird guy who just left wrestling because it'd be like should have been the champion.
But what's very interesting is there was a lot of stuff that he got all of the shit for. So it's basically all right. So let's get into the actual him being it, because it's also weird is he has a weirdly short career if you really think about it. Get it?
And honestly, for his health, once again, a good idea. Like, he debuts in 2010, and he's pretty much out of WWE and full stop wrestling.
By 2015?
2015, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, technically 15 years, I'd guess you'd say, but as a main roster character, 5 years.
Yeah, and as a main roster character, I'm going to say 2 years, 2 to 3 years. I'm going to because again, the Nexus was Wade Barrett and goons to be determined. You know what I'm saying? It's Wade Barrett, Daniel Bryan, like Heath Slater's
Daniel Bryan was off TV pretty quick, actually, because he choked John Cena with the ring.
No, he didn't choke John Cena. It was Justin Roberts with Justin Roberts' own tie. The USA Network shit because they were getting a lot of problems for violence at the time for some reason, and so they fired him and then brought him right back at that SummerSlam, which is the John Cena weird moment of how they didn't see that John Cena or Daniel Bryan was going to be fucking massive, which is our seventh member is Daniel Bryan, and this generic music plays and everyone goes crazy like they already knew what he was capable of, because he was coming off of being like the most, like when Ring of Honor was at its most Ring of Honor, he was the most honorable of their honoring boys, and now he's in the WWE, and it took them how many years to figure out, oh, actually he'll put some butts in some seats. Oh wait.
Yeah.
Here's another question. Why, after Daniel Bryan wins the WWF Championship, you don't put him with Ryback? Because that makes all the sense. They know each other from the Nexus. You could tell that story that they've known. Like, instead you put him with Kane.
I don't know, man.
But look at me. But hang on. Are you saying that is much worse than him just fighting Kane? Even though they never reminded anyone that it was of Team Hell No throughout the whole thing, they just had it being like corporate Kane's now Demon Kane for no reason.
Yeah, I mean, they just believe, at a certain point, you just kind of have to accept that WWE just believes that Kane is, like, great.
He is. You want to know why?
Why?
He's stopping unnecessary government spending.
Libraries should cost $50 to get into, and reading should be illegal. So the only reason you get into a library is to give $50, and then you get told to leave. Now it's my $50. There's
exactly. What are you doing in the library? Killing homeless people. What do you use libraries for?
We all started off on equal footing. Everyone else started off 6'8". And
everyone
got 9 characters.
Yeah, everyone's 6'8" and was able to make 6 figures for most of their career pretending to be a dentist or a burned man with no penis.
Freely just switching between the two. Anyway, so Ryback comes back in 2012 because Skip Sheffield doesn't work out. No one really knows what Skip Sheffield is. This is another great thing where it's like they introduce all these characters, but they don't really introduce the characters because Ryback's clearly like, who the fuck is that guy? That guy's fucking huge. And then they are like, oh, he's a dumb football player. They're just kind of like, he's Skip Sheffield. Why is his name Skip Sheffield? What is Skip?
Fuck you. That's why. He's
skipping exactly. Sheffield. That's a dumb name. Tour. Okay, yeah. Who gives a shit?
I mean, here's also where Ryback's problems start right away, which is he very openly talked about how he was trying to foster a relationship with Vince McMahon when he started this run in 2012, saying to Vince McMahon all of his frustrations whenever he needed to. He also had a confrontation with Triple H over a poor contract offer, saying that Hunter told him that John Cena was the last marquee star the company would make. That's one man's word, but it does ring true based on the current, especially that time in the company. I don't think that's necessarily true now because I think AEW has really changed how the WWE sees themselves. And he returned to television under the name Ryback on April 6th, 2012 on a SmackDown. And by October of 2012, he's having a championship match with CM Punk which he
Yeah, they
lost
give him the
due
dope
to
push where he just kills a bunch of jobbers.
kills a bunch of jobbers and goes into a match with CM Punk. This is the debut of the Shield, where originally the Shield was supposed to be CM Punk's goons, which they then changed to being triple. I don't know. Anyway, the Shield
They're just
debuts.
goons. They were just goons. Like, and that's a smart thing.
Yeah, they're just goons. They're just the hounds of justice. God, do I miss the Shield? And every time they're brought up, it reminds me what a waste their breakup was. Done too early, ruined that.
Yeah, they could have been baby faces for a while, but also like Ryback should have beat them all 1, 2, 3, one after the other.
I wouldn't have been. I mean, he could have beaten Seth Rollins. Here's the one thing with the Shield that they, for some reason, put them all over like huge, and it's like Tyler Black is way too cool. And also, guys, it's 2012. All wrestling fans, all we're doing is watching that video of him doing a moonsault off of a fat guy. You could have him lose to everyone, and we're still like, put him in the main event. Put him and Zack Ryder in the main event. Do it right now. Do it right now.
So, obviously, we get to the fun part, which is Ryback's aim was become the next John Cena, which I think is insane because it's like,
yeah, he's not nearly as good of a rapper.
Yeah, I mean, I like the face of the company is this bald guy. I don't know, man. Like
I mean,
here's the
hang
thing.
on.
Yes.
Hang on. You're acting like wrestling isn't filled with guys that are as crazy as Ryback being incredibly successful.
Who are the faces of WWE? Walk through them.
Hulk Hogan, a bald man. Steve Austin, a bald man. John Cena.
Okay, here are the people. Here are the like number one faces, even for a time of the WWE. Hulk Hogan,
Bald man.
friendly looking.
Hang on.
Bret Hart, good looking. Shawn Michaels, good looking. Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's your outlier because they just fell ass backwards into it. But like, that's an action hero. He's Bruce Willis in Die Hard. He's a lot of shit, right? And then obviously like The Rock. We know what he's been up to. John Cena. They tried with Triple H. Triple H, whatever.
No, we're not acknowledging.
Reigns.
No,
These
no.
are all men that you could take a picture of, and people would be like, I could see myself at least spending some time at their house.
Triple H
Ryback
has done a
is just
lot of
like,
things. He has never been the number one anything close to the face of that company. I don't care. I would say it to his face. Triple H, I would say it to his. I'd say it to his face as he was dying of that heart attack. Hey, Paul, do you feel bad that you're dying knowing that you were never number one in the WWE?
No, don't say that. Triple H in theory.
Guys, I still think, by the way, that we are at there's a 10% odds he shows up in AEW, especially with Stephanie's leave of absence.
I don't know, man. You'd have to give up a lot. Like, how much of a nerd do you think a guy is to give up hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in stock, dude? Like, this is what the wrestling centric. This is what I don't understand.
He doesn't.
About,
first of all, hang on. He doesn't have to give up anything.
Yeah, he does.
Why?
Because it's a conflict of interest.
He's a private citizen at that point. He is allowed to own stock that he had been given in a if the WWE buys it out. But one of those things where he's paid in stock, you can, if you're an Apple employee and you go to work for Amazon, even if you're the CFO, if you've been paid partly in Apple stock, that if you leave the company because your boss is an insane person and just ruins your department, you don't have to then hand that stock back. It's very possible that's where he ends up.
I don't think so. I would bet a lot of money that doesn't happen.
I mean, it's a 10% odds. It's not likely at all, but I'm just saying
10%.
we're getting.
You think 10%? That's how
10%. I think there's a 10% chance.
I think 0.001 is what I think.
I mean, you say that, but like Cody Rhodes is in WWE. Until they announced that
Rhodes
seemed impossible.
Cody Rhodes isn't a partner within that company.
But neither is Triple H anymore. Oi.
What?
He ain't a partner in it anymore.
He still has a position. He still has a high-ranking position.
I mean, he has a.
And like, what does he have to gain?
This is all speculation. He's a giant nerd who wants to be the cool guy in wrestling, and in the end, Triple H.
I don't think anymore. I think he's. I think that. I would love to hear an interview with this dude where he just talks about his life and not wrestling. You don't almost die and then be like, I want to work with Ray Phoenix.
You are acting like wrestlers are. You have to think. You're thinking of Triple H like he's a normal man. You need to think of it like comedians. A comedian almost dies and is like, "You better get healthy." He's like, "Or I'm going to write a bit about how I didn't die," and that's the
It's
same.
true. You're right.
But like again, I agree with you. If we were talking about if we were talking about Nike shoes, and the guy who developed Air Jordans was like, "Fuck it, I'm going to Reebok." I agree with you. That's not going to happen. He's too high in the company. They would have done something to keep it. We're talking about wrestling, where Vince McMahon had the opportunity to create the greatest year of programming, his company versus their greatest rival. He could own the broadcasting rights, and he destroyed it in 2 months, and it ended with a Survivor Series match where his wrestlers versus his wrestlers for his company to win.
You are right about that. I'm just saying that, like, I think that Stephanie McMahon has been trying to get out of wrestling for quite some time and get into lolitics. That's politics, but lol.
Oh my
And,
God. Can you stop being so much funnier than I am, please? I
and
feel like
think
I can't
that-
compete.
I feel like, and I think that Triple H is just like pretty much along for the ride now because he's like, all right, well, my plan didn't work. But also, like, I don't know him at all. The only way I know him is that he's that guy who was clearly a nerd in DX. Anyway. He was the guy who was like, you know what the most fucking rebellious thing you can possibly do is? Eat right and get to bed early.
Exactly.
Plus, I say penis occasionally. Back, who would have been an amazing guy in DX. Then I sucked his cock off his fucking body, and then I fucking spit it into his ass. Ryback, you're really going in a different direction. I had sex with a girl. Does that involve protein bars anyway?
Oh, no. Are you ready to suck it as long as it's only a woman and not a guy? Right back.
Hey, the Nation of Domination. Owen Hart, you jack off a lot. That's me, Xbox. Ryback, what do you have to say? I had diarrhea and I fucked it. Okay, that's not. I don't.
You want to know how tough I am? I butt fucked prostate cancer.
You want to know how tough I am? I fucking do this exercise. It's called I own guns and I eat them.
I'm gonna own up that is a quote from comedy writer Michael O'Donoghue, apparently, when he was writing for the National Lampoon, and he was asked, "Could you please change the sentence, the opening sentence of this comedy article? It's grammatically incorrect." And he apparently said, "I would rather butt fuck cancer," and then quit. And I think that's the greatest response to anything ever. And he's dead and I'm alive, so I'm using it in this context.
Ooh. So Ryback, to get back on a Rytrack.
Oh, Dylan, my God, you fucking brought it today,
he
baby.
Professional wrestles CM Punk. CM Punk's not a big fan of Ryan.
He certainly is not. I will tell you. Let me tell you, old Phil Bingerbangers or whatever the fuck Phil Punks did not really enjoy working with Ryback. He called him a steroid guy who hurt a lot of people, and I like Ryback's point was like,
I didn't hurt anybody else.
He's the only one who I ever hurt. And I got to tell you, I'm like, that's a really good point. That is
also, that's such a perfect feud when they had that feud because it's like, yeah, it's just what we think wrestling is versus like, it's literally indie wrestling versus
WWE wrestling. And why they didn't just, yeah, exactly. Someone who is controlling that narrative. When are we buying Control Your Narrative t-shirts and wearing them for every program?
When are we buying the company?
How much do you think it is to cost to buy Control Your Narrative?
I think we could probably buy a bar and then get them to like perform in the bar.
I think that we, using our Patreon money for 1 year, could buy Control Your Narrative. I guarantee if we call, I think we could. I do not. Let me say this right now. I know a lot about the world. And one of those things is I know how to tell when someone is a good businessman, and neither EC3. If you have a number in your name, even if it's a nickname, you're not good at business. And if you also used to walk out to music that started with these hands.
It never started with these hands. It started with Braun Strowman fucking yelling, fuck. I take my dad to strip clubs and we fucking jack off in the bathroom together.
Father-in-law. It's father-in-law.
Jack off into my dick. It makes my dick bigger if you fill it with jizz.
No, but there was a thing with Braun Strowman with like these hands or something like that.
Oh, he said you're gonna catch these hands. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also Ryback's classic, "Feed me more."
Feed me more of everything. But yeah, Ryback was over and he was getting over. It's just that like there are too many nerds now and then they ruined it.
And then also CM Punk fucked him by saying that, because at that time CM Punk was literally wrestling Jesus, and everyone was like, if he doesn't like Ryback, then neither do I.
Yeah, and the way they pushed him was really weird. Like, he goes into this storyline with Mark Henry, where Mark Henry and him are having a bunch of strength contests, and then at WrestleMania, because I remember this, at WrestleMania, he loses to Mark Henry for some reason, and WrestleMania is obviously the time when the most casual fans watch something. So he loses to Mark Henry just because people thought that Ryback was going to win. That was the reason he lost. And then after the match, he hit him with his finisher, and that was the whole point of the match to begin with, was can Ryan Back pick up Mark Henry? And he can, and he did after the match, and instead of just having him win, they made him lose. It makes no sense. And then he turned heel immediately on John Cena. Had a little feud with John Cena, but then by that time, they're essentially done with him, because Ryback is not really a character with a lot of depth, so it kind of falls under that classic monster thing where they can push him for a bit as a big heel. He gets beaten by all their baby faces, and then he becomes a comedy character who's got a small dick or whatever, and then he's out of the company.
Yeah. And we need to really make an emphasis on he has a small dick, too. They really go out of their way to be like, it's so weird.
When he was killing jobbers, he quite literally was more fun Goldberg.
Yeah.
Goldberg never cheered along with the crowd. Ryback would get people fucking pumped with the crowd, and it's like there is
a place for this guy. I completely agree with you.
There is a world where he's like just the Intercontinental Champion for a while, or like holds a secondary title, or just a fun guy on the card where it's like, oh, another part of the card where Ryback.
What I would say is the reason why we didn't get that Ryback is, I think, because of the CM. I think CM Punk saying that had a lot more of a blowback than I even considered until we did this episode. In that, look at me.
Wasn't he out of WWE by
No,
the time
I don't think he was.
CM Punk said that?
I think Ryan Back was still there. Yeah, he was, because he's still Ryback.
Actually, my name was originally Scum Punk.
Yeah, so it's
I was a punk who loved cum.
Because wait, he does
Look
the art
in
of
my
wrestling
eyes.
pretty quickly
I love
after.
cum. I love cum, spread me with cum. Ooh, cover me in your cum. Cover me.
He very much is still in the company, because I think that art of wrestling. Shut up, Dylan.
It was 2014.
It was still 14, and he was still in the company. So yes, no, I think it definitely had something to do with it. Because he's feuding with Chris Jericho in 2013. They put him in a tag team with Curtis Axel. Where is Curtis Axel, by the way?
Neon lights. I love cum. Curtis Axel? I don't know. He's fucking probably a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Curtis Axel. Let's go. Where is Curtis Axel? He had a job for a while.
A long time. They really wanted to make sure that Kurt Hennig's son just made some money for a bit.
Curtis Axel is a
producer in the WWE. Yeah.
For him.
Yeah. Having a nice time. Yep. Just suck me. Suck me.
And that is, once again, I guess every industry has a lot of nepotism. It's just WWE is very, very clear about
Well,
it.
WWE is also the funniest type of nepotism, in that they just assume you're your dad. Are you your dad? No. Well, you always liked having sex with your mom. Can I watch you have sex with your mom?
Your dad was a fucking crazy guy. How about you? Actually, I just grew up in the suburbs, and I don't know. I went to school. I played a bit of volleyball. Volleyball, athletic background. All right, your character is that you let me see your mom's boobies from time to time. Where are the pictures from her prime?
Yeah. Can you invent a time machine so I can go back in time and I can fuck your mom and kill your dad?
He has his short-lived, and it's funny because Rybaxel, which this is also how you know. I don't know how many of these have worked, but the laziest way, Jericho, like RK Bro,
it's
rated RKO, like it's just like wake up a writer from a nap. They say the first thing that they think of. But like Vince gets 90 ideas.
No, it's what it is they literally are just going through T-shirts, and whenever two T-shirts are accidentally next to each other, Vince McMahon is like,
That's fucking crazy. And then combining the theme songs and it's just so lazy. But
Well, it's
whatever.
because he doesn't want a tag team division, because in his weird head, he's still that territorial guy where it's like, why pay 4 guys when you can pay 2? And it's like,
Yeah.
because you have $1 billion and you're supposed to present a variety of programming, not just the same thing for 3 hours. And then people like Vince McMahon, for being such a good promoter and businessman, also basically just wants you to give him money. Like Vince McMahon's dream card is he doesn't rent an arena. You just drive to his house and everyone gives him $40.
My favorite. I still love the fact that everyone on every wrestling podcast, all these like nerds like us, were like, when WWE first announced numbers for the network, and Vince McMahon was like, it's going to be like 3 million people, and everyone on Wall Street was like, he wouldn't just lie. And then, yeah, he just lied.
Yeah.
He was like,
It's the
also,
funniest-
did you know this? He lies about attendance at everything. Everything.
in that way of it took me so long to figure this out, which was like when Bruce Pritchard is like, why would we lie about the amount of people at WrestleMania 3? We had to pay the taxes as if there were 93,000 people. And then I was like, man, I think Bruce is totally telling the truth. And it was like it was like in COVID, I was listening back to that and I was like, or Bruce is just lying too. Like, it's so weird about wrestling fans where we're always like, yeah, it's this giant art form committed to trickery, except when it comes to us.
I don't know how you make wrestling dry, which this man definitely has, Brandon Thurston, but he literally, since it's a publicly traded company, just goes through filings and he just goes through SEC filings and shit.
Let me tell you this about the wrestling podcast community, which we are very much somehow, just by the simple fact of starting so long, we are, as I like to say, we're the Steiner brothers of the wrestling podcast community. We've been here for quite some time, but no one wants to talk to us because we're weird. Yeah, exactly. No one likes us.
I got a bunch of surgeries in Mexico, and John has a son that does not have his last name.
That is correct. And I also own a lot of Shoney's franchises.
John Breaker.
Yeah, exactly. I named him after how he was conceived. His middle name is Condom. Did it. All right, let's wrap up Ryback really quickly because a little behind the scenes information. Dylan was a bit late because he is created and raising life. And so I have done this entire podcast turtling a shit.
Ooh, Ryback. Best thing, body. Worst thing, mind.
I disagree.
What's your next?
I disagree with you everything. Let me say what's the best thing about Ryback. His post-wrestling career has been the funnest. He's not going to die of a pill addiction. He is not.
We really got to the fucking most fun part last, which sucks.
Which is just his hot takes. I'm gonna say this guy.
I love a guy who has a bunch of hot takes and no one gives a shit.
I love it. There's nothing better in the world. And by the way, no one. And it's what keeps me going, living in the United States, because the amount of people that comment on things where I'm like, comedian Jimmy Dore, I remember when I met you at Comedy Bar in Toronto, and I never would have thought, hey, do you know who's saying some of the craziest stuff on the internet? This guy. And still, his fans like it, but no one recognizes it. It's the best thing about the internet is there's people having hot takes, and 1,000 people are like, this guy gets it. And in the grand scheme of things, that's nothing.
Yes. And it is just so fun. Also, Ryback was wasn't he the guy who was like, it doesn't make sense. I have all these followers. Twitter's burying me because I only got 5 likes. And it's like, no, man, that's because you're bad at Twitter, and that's not how the algorithm works anymore.
And also,
anyway,
your
Ryan Back.
You also probably had a lot of bots bought for you by the WWE that they've stopped paying for. So you still have the numbers, but they're not actively commenting on all your stuff because there's no way that Vince McMahon is leaving it up to chance when it comes to the amount of social media interaction for his wrestlers.
That is
in the end,
good point.
Here's what I want to say about Ryback.
You didn't say
Alan
best
Reeds.
and worst. What's his best thing?
Best thing is that he's around giving hot takes. Worst thing,
Shell Shock's pretty good too. Running angle spine.
It is really fucking good. The other thing that's really the worst thing about him is that CM Punk decided to bitch him out, and it's that weird sort of thing. If you had told me in 2022 it's going to be like, listen, you're going to be on Ryback's side on most things, I would have been like, so I haven't changed at all, and then it would be like, yep, that's true. How do you like that?
Yeah, and it's also the CM Punk, the final thing I'll say is the CM Punk interview serves that purpose of everything else he said in that interview was clearly something that everyone thought happened. and then he just kind of said that about Ryback, so they lumped it in with, oh, this guy's just finally getting all this shit off his chest, and Ryback must also be a piece of shit. But like, no one, I mean, from the guys we've talked to, no one hates him. They're just like, this guy's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
But also, it's great that someone has the fucking post wrestling. A man has a post wrestling career. A male wrestler has a post wrestling career of Kelly Kelly.
Well,
Where it's just like, I'm going to sell all these supplements and let's go. I have this healing tonic. It will heal you. You will never die, and your dick will. And when you do die at 900, your dick will be hard as a rock. Let's go. My name's Ryback.
ladies and gentlemen, this podcast brought to you by Ryback Supplements.
Whatever they are, get them.
Bite the back. It's called Bite the Back.
Oh, bite the back? Bite the back. That just sounds like fucking licking ass. Yeah, Ryback, lick some ass. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We're on Twitter and Instagram. You figure out where. Fuck you. Next week's fucking me. I'm reviewing me.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Next week we'll be reviewing Dylan Got the Wrestling Fan. We'll be talking a lot about going to Ring of Honor in Mississauga. We'll be talking about how possibly attending one ECW show. And we'll be talking about how once he stood next to me in a open-air wrestling match for the Ossington Street Fair, where we watched a guy who owns a comedy club drink 3-liter bottles of lemonade and gin, and then get into a car.
Oh, yeah. That was really fun.
How you doing, man? Pretty good.
We watched a current AEW wrestler just fucking say, I'm from Hamilton, and this fucking place sucks. And it was the first time anyone reacted to anything.
Oh, yeah, I remember. Oh, man, that was such a fun day. Okay,
Ethan Page. Bye-bye.
I have to go, or a poo is going to make me taller. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.